Good evening and time to bring you top stories from home and around the world. I'm Natalia Virvadana.
Good evening, I'm Stefan Dialwis. Let's take a look at the top stories for tonight. Two new political and trade-related MOUs were signed between Sri Lanka and Cambodia. Prime Minister says a broad political alliance fitting for the present requirements and away from the traditional politics will be established. COPE committee proceedings will be open for media from tomorrow onwards. An increase in the showery and windy conditions in the next several days. Chinese exports rose unexpectedly amid US-China trade tensions.
Two new political and trade-related memorandums of understanding were signed between Sri Lanka and Cambodia today. The signing of the MOUs took place after a meeting between President Maithripala Sirisena and Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen. The meeting was held at the Cambodian Prime Minister's office, also known as Peace Palace. The attention was directed on achieving progress in bilateral trade and tourism sectors based on the historical relations between the countries. A discussion was also held between the two state leaders on the signing of a bilateral cooperation agreement on civil aviation services. The attention was also directed on the development of economic and trade cooperation and the implementation of educational and youth exchange programs between the countries. The attention was also directed on expediting the establishment of embassies between the countries. President Maithripala Sirisena said that a country should not interfere into another country's affairs in his foreign policy. A large number of Cambodian Buddhist monks received education in Sri Lanka, and the Cambodian Prime Minister extended his gratitude to the Sri Lankan President for providing necessary facilities to assist their education. He also extended his condolences regarding the Easter Sunday attacks. The MOU on the political counselling was signed by the State Minister Wasantha Senanayake and Cambodian Secretary to the External Affairs on behalf of their respective countries. The relevant MOU to establish Sri Lanka-Cambodia National Council was signed by the heads of chambers of commerce of both the countries. The King of Cambodia said that his country will stand firmly together with Sri Lanka in further cementing bilateral relations in economic, trade, social as well as the renaissance of Buddhism. The Cambodian king made these comments when he met the President Maithripala Sirisena at a meeting held at the Royal Palace today. The President was accorded a grand welcome on his arrival at the Royal Palace by the King of Cambodia. King Sihamoni recalled the strong ties between Cambodia and Sri Lanka and thanked the Sri Lankan President for accepting the invitation to visit his nation. Cambodian king commented the progress achieved by Sri Lanka under the leadership of President Maithripala Sirisena in economic, trade, social and religious sectors. Later, President Sirisena visited the Independence Monument in Phnom Penh and paid a floral tribute to the statue of King Father of Cambodia, Norodom Sihanouk.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that a broad political alliance fitting for the present requirements and away from the traditional politics will be established before the end of this month. The Prime Minister said that the primary aim will be to take the country forward while strengthening the democracy established by the present government. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe made these remarks while addressing the Their Abhimani felicitation ceremony this evening at the Sugutadasa Stadium. The ceremony was organised by Urban Development Authority. The main purpose of the ceremony was to felicitate construction companies and their employees for working on the Urban Renaissance project initiated under the Urban Development Authority. The best three projects received their respective awards from the Prime Minister during the ceremony. Meanwhile, Invest Lanka website was launched by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Meanwhile, maninmarket.lk website was launched by Minister Patali Champikaranawaka. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the fellow countrymen should be surprised with the progress achieved by the present government. He said that around 15,000 to 20,000 have voluntarily evacuated from their estate houses to reside in other places. He said that the situation was completely different 8 to 10 years before. He said that in the past, many who were residing in these houses were thrown out or abducted by white vans. The Prime Minister said that the present government took measures to develop the country through a democratic avenue without causing intimidation with the white van culture or through judicial interference. He said that a dictatorship is not required for the development of the country. He said that the country should be disciplined. He said that he appreciates any form of criticism levelled against him, as a free society has been established in the country to do so. The Prime Minister said that they have decided to move ahead of the traditional politics preached and practiced at present. Therefore, he said that all have taken the decision to rally together in establishing a strong alliance to achieve this objective. He said that 3 alliances will be established under the leadership of one main political party. He added that the next presidential election will be contested through these alliances. He further added that the establishment of the new alliance will be announced before the end of this month.
ඊළඟ සැරේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාටත් තරඟ කරන්න සිදු වෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් අලුත් අදහස් එක්ක සන්දානයක් ඇති කරන්න ඒ බලාපොරොත්තු. ඒ බලාපොරොත්තුව මේ මාසේ අවසන් වෙන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා ඉෂ්ට වෙනවා කියලා මම කියන්න කැමතියි.
Ministers, MPs, state officials and representatives of the construction sector were present on this occasion.
The proceedings of the Committee on Public Enterprise, also known as COPE Committee, will be opened for media from tomorrow onwards. Speaker of the House Karu Jayasuriya made these remarks at the Parliament today. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya said that the ceremony will be held tomorrow to mark the handing over of the camera system fixed in number 5 chamber allocated for the Committee on Public Enterprise in the Parliament. He said that COPE Committee will be opened for media from tomorrow onward. He said that he would expect the media to act responsibly when reporting on the proceedings of the committee. He said that this move is yet another step taken forward within the parliamentary process.
Handing over of the National Strategic Roadmap on the Internet of Things, also known as IoT, to Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was held yesterday. The ceremony was held at BMI-CH. This was an initiative of the Institution of Engineering and Technology and Ministry of Digital Infrastructure and Information Development. The event was held under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. State Minister Eran Wickremaratne was also present on this occasion. This is seen as a mechanism to standardize and regulate IoT technology in Sri Lanka.
Easier, safer, increase our quality of life. And at national level, we can expect to develop or keep our neighbors. If we do not keep up with our neighbors, if we plan to integrate, or we will fall behind. With such information collected, it also raises some questions. And I would like to close on this note. Technology, we always think, makes life easier. And I often wonder if my life is easier than my grandfather's life. Is my life actually easier than my parents' life? I always wonder that, because we keep telling ourselves that technology makes our lives easier. I think life is more than economics, and life is more than technology.
We have to look at the second stage, the post-school education, the tertiary education, the degrees and the non-degrees. Now this is where we are going to have a bottleneck. Schools, we will have some problems to get the teachers trained, but also my idea is that we should, told the Minister of Education, we should have science teachers in every school and don't have the 1C category. But nevertheless, that will need 2 more at least schools, colleges of education. Now how do we get to the next stage? That is the crucial stage. I don't think the government can do that alone. So we have to open it up, the tertiary sector, to the non-government sector, to the private sector. Come in and do this in a large way. But we have to focus on it, which means we have to give incentive, we have to get this going, but we need the capacity where at least 20, 30,000, 40,000 are trained a year. If you train more, it doesn't matter. There will be people from other countries in the region who come in. But we have to do this, like what India is doing. We have to ensure that in the next few years, we get our tertiary sector education right. And what is it that we need? This is the advice we require from you, because the government itself cannot take the burden. We can fund the students to go through the courses, which we find is much easier for us. So this is an area that we have to focus on as we get the country mobilized for the 4th Industrial Revolution.
To all players in the band.
Was the chairman of IET Sri Lanka. and its application in the real world. Senviratna. And then Engineer Dr. Lalit Lenage. Finally, Engineer Rupmal.
The inauguration ceremony to vest the Run Piyapat program with the public was held today at Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau premises. Minister Mangala Samaravira was the chief guest of the ceremony. The aim of the program is to update the services and benefits extended for the workers travelling abroad with the services provided through the Bureau. A worker who was injured while serving in Saudi Arabia received compensation worth 7 million rupees during the ceremony. Run Piyapat program was developed in accordance to a concept of Minister Harin Fernando. 6 families affected from the Easter Sunday attacks also received compensation during the event. Parliamentarians and others were present on this occasion.
Former Minister Basil Rajapaksa says that the presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna will be announced at the upcoming National Assembly. These remarks were made during a media briefing held in Colombo today. Former Minister Basil Rajapaksa said that the first National Assembly of the party will be held on August 11th at Sugathadasa Stadium from 3 p.m. onwards. He said that the main purpose of the assembly will be to constitutionally appoint the official leader of the party. He added that former President Mahinda Rajapaksa will declare the presidential candidate of the party at the upcoming National Assembly. He said that they have requested for a candidate who can provide protection for the nation with good management skills. He said he can assure that former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa has all these qualities. He said that the former president may have another candidate in mind and he has the right to declare the next candidate.
Sri Lanka Freedom Party says that the notion of the party's future and future elections will be presented at the anniversary of the party. These remarks were made during a media briefing held at the party headquarters today. Parliamentarian Mahinda Samaravira says that September 3rd is the party anniversary and the anniversary celebrations will be held on that day at the Sugathadasa Stadium. He said that the active members of the party in the grassroots level will be gathered for the program. He said that the anniversary program will be held with the new positions established and the relevant office bearers appointed through the party restructuring process initiated in the recent past. He said that the notion of the party's future and future elections will be presented at the anniversary of the party.
Ambassador of Thailand to Sri Lanka, Chulamani Chartusuwan, says that the ASEAN organization could potentially become the 4th largest economy in the world by 2030. She made these remarks at the ASEAN Day celebration held at the premises of the Embassy of Indonesia today. The embassies and the high commissions of ASEAN member states based in Colombo organized a ceremony to celebrate ASEAN Day 2019. Secretary of Ministry of Foreign Affairs Ravinatha Arya Singha was the chief guest. Association of Southeast Asian Nations is a regional intergovernmental organization comprising 10 countries in Southeast Asia, which promotes intergovernmental cooperation and facilitates sectoral integration among the member nations and other countries in the region. ASEAN was created on August 8, 1967.
Excellency, you talked about the present and I would like to go back into the history a little bit and to make the point how close Sri Lanka and your region has been. We all know of the historic links when Sri Lanka was a center between East and West, the maritime aspect and our connectivity there, and later the people-to-people contact that generated from Sri Lankans going and settling in many of your countries and becoming very influential and pivotal forces in those countries. I think this occasion when we celebrate ASEAN Day is a fitting opportunity for me as Foreign Secretary of Sri Lanka to urge you and fellow ASEAN members, and we will be doing this in capitals through our ambassadors and our representatives, that Sri Lanka, which has always historically and in more modern times enjoyed the connectivity, be accorded the sectoral dialogue partnership of ASEAN at an early date so that we can continue the historic legacy of partnership we have had with your region and your people.
Today we achievements. ASEAN has grown from a loose organization of 5 diverse countries in a region infested with internal conflicts. ASEAN has survived the Cold War and internal conflicts while pushing ahead community building in political, economic, and social pillars. ASEAN today has a rule-based charter and has emerged as a more inclusive and people-centered community of 10 countries, a common market in a more harmonious, peaceful, and prosperous Southeast Asia. Certain economists have already forecast that ASEAN has potential to become the 4th largest economy in the world by the year 2030 on the assumption that ASEAN could successfully implement all of its economic agreements. ASEAN vision today is not only about community building within a peaceful and prosperous Southeast Asia, but ASEAN now is a mature community which has contributed and is determined to contribute to world peace and prosperity as a responsible player.
As we gather here today, we can reflect upon 52 years of ASEAN history, which began in 8th of August 1967 when our founding fathers signed the Bangkok Declaration. We have ventured quite far in our history as a regional organization, building upon bricks by bricks of experiences, challenges, and cooperation that bind us together as a community we have one vision and we have created one identity. Excellencies, distinguished guests, the ASEAN flags are flown at the ASEAN diplomatic mission all over the world next to our respective national, which have been hoisted since 2011. As we celebrate the 52nd anniversary inception of the ASEAN, we would be proud to see all countries in the Southeast Asian region are united and represented in the stalk of paddy in the ASEAN flags, which symbolize that all countries in Southeast Asia bound together in spirit of friendship, solidarity. Finally, we would express our appreciation to our ASEAN colleagues who have work hard for organizing this ceremony. Our special thanks also goes to government of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka for the strong support in promoting cordial relations with ASEAN.
Minister Sajith Premadasa says that an international conference will be held within 6 months if the nation takes the right decision to extend their mandate to him. He further said that he will showcase its international relations to the country and the benefits of the development will be provided to the nation. The minister made these remarks while taking part in the ceremony to West Joseph Vaz Nagar and Josephpura villages built in Joseph Vaz area, Mena, with the public today. These model villages were built under the Samita Sevana Yalipibidana program, and the villages consists of 95 housing units built at a cost of 86 million rupees. Distribution of title deeds and many other public welfare projects were initiated in parallel to the ceremony. The minister then engaged in a friendly football match with the youngsters of the area. Showery and windy condition in the country has been increased with the activation of the southwestern monsoon. The Met Department has said that the present condition expected to prevail in the next couple of days. The water level of the Kasulri Reservoir has been increased up to 21 feet and the water level of the Mausa-Kale Reservoir has been increased up to 46 feet. A heavy rainfall has occurred in the Kasulri and Mausa-Kale areas with the rain in the Western Hill area of the Central Highlands. The water levels of the reservoirs were reduced by 20% due to the dry weather condition. Vehicular movement in the Thiladia Ratmalaya area in the Puttalam Colombo main road were disrupted following a tree fall due to the heavy showers and strong winds prevailed in the area. Sri Lanka Army, Puttalam municipality officials and residents in the area jointly removed the tree from road. Close to 300 houses have been damaged in Attanagalla and Nitambua areas due to the strong winds occurred this early morning. Attanagalla Agrarian Services Office and Nitambua Helabojun Hala building and several other buildings were damaged due to the winds. Vehicular movement in the road near the Parakrama Samudra in Polonnaruwa was disrupted following a falling of a tree due to the strong winds prevailed in the area. A 3-hour traffic congestion occurred in the Polonnaruwa Kalahagala Alahara Bakamuna road due to the tree fall.
Walker's Colombo shipyard handed over the second landing craft Ocean Lady to sunken overseas Maldives. The second landing craft built by Walker's Colombo shipyard followed by the previous project, a 25 meters landing craft by the name Fat Lady. Walker's Colombo Private Limited, a subsidiary of MTD Walkers PLC, has successfully completed the construction of Ocean Lady, a 35 meters landing craft which was designed and constructed entirely from the ground up. The landing craft was designed and constructed by an in-house team of highly skilled naval architects and engineers under the guidance of Dr. Sarath Obesekara. The vessel is 35 meters long, 8.5 meters wide and has a draft of 2 meters and a deck load capacity of 200 tons, which will be used mainly during the mobilization and demobilization stages of construction projects in Maldives.
The fourth Kumbal Perahara of the Kandy Asala festival is now parading the streets. A large number of local and foreign tourists have arrived to witness the event. The Perahara was commenced at the auspicious time of 6:50 in the evening. The majestic tusker Kataragama Vasana is carrying the casket bearing the sacred relics. 2 other tuskers, Singharaja and Myanmar Raja, are accompanying the majestic tusker. Kumbal Perahara is parading in Dalanda Vidya and Kottakodalla Vidya and is scheduled to return to Dalanda Maligawa via Rajavidya. A special security operation is being conducted in connection with the Kandy Asala festival.
Now let's have a look around Asia in 1 minute. Kyrgyzstan's security forces have launched a second attempt to arrest former President Almazbek Atambayev after a botched raid overnight resulted in the death of 1 officer. Thousands of labourers working in the Kashmir Valley and nearby regions packed up their belongings and began their journey home yesterday amid a security clampdown surrounding the scrapping of the region's special status. Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha said today he will take sole responsibility for failing to recite the full oath of allegiance when he and his cabinet were sworn in last month. A powerful typhoon is expected to affect Taiwan's northern region later today. Weather forecasters warning risks of landslides and high seas hours after a 6.0 magnitude earthquake struck the island. At least 18 people were killed and 145 others wounded in a deadly blast that ripped through a neighborhood in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul, yesterday.
Another 1,635 appointments have been handed over today with the aim to improve the efficiency of the health service. It included 699 nurses appointments, 118 public health officer appointments and 818 post-primary care nurse trainee appointments. The handing over of the appointments was held under the patronage of Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne today at the Temple Trees. Necessary equipment for the treatment of cancer was distributed to the hospitals today under the patronage of Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne. 360 million rupees have been allocated for the project. The ceremony was held at the National Blood Transfusion Service Centre in Narahimpita. 5 digital mammography machines, 10 cytotoxic isolator machines, 10 medical refrigerators, 60 infusion pumps and 30 syringe pumps were distributed to the hospitals. Correct diagnosis and quality treatments can be provided for the patients with the use of the new equipment.
Sri Lanka signed the United Nations Convention on International Settlement Agreements resulting from mediation, also known as the Singapore Convention on Mediation. Minister Thalatha Athukorala signed the agreement on behalf of Sri Lanka at the Singapore Convention signing ceremony and conference held yesterday, according to a statement issued by Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The United Nations General Assembly in December 2018 adopted the new Convention on Mediation, and its signing ceremony was held in Singapore. Ministers and senior officials from 67 states attended the signing ceremony and high-level conference. 46 countries signed the Singapore Convention on Mediation yesterday, the day it opened for signature. The United States, China and India were also among the first signatories of the convention, together with Sri Lanka. The new treaty on mediation is expected to strengthen the international dispute resolution framework and provide business greater certainty and assurance, and help facilitate international trade and commerce. It will also provide for the enforcement of mediated settlement agreements across countries. According to the statement, Minister Talata Atukorala met with Singapore's Minister for Social and Family Development, Desmond Lee, during her visit to Singapore.
United States Acting Assistant Secretary for South and Central Asian Affairs Alice Wells expected to visit Sri Lanka during her visit to South Asia. The Acting Assistant Secretary Wells is travelling to Pakistan, Sri Lanka and India from August 6th to the 16th, the Department of State announced yesterday. According to a statement issued by the US Department of State, pointed out that Acting Assistant Secretary Wells will hold bilateral consultations on issues of mutual interest with senior government officials in Pakistan, Sri Lanka and India, in addition to meetings with business leaders and civil society. The US top official is currently in Pakistan on the first leg of her visit.
Several countries and Amnesty International have issued travel warnings to their citizens about the United States following 2 mass shootings that killed 31 people. Several countries, including close US allies and Amnesty International, warn travelers on the risks of exploring the United States in the wake of deadly shootings in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. A travel advisory issued by the Amnesty International has called on people to exercise caution and have an emergency contingency plan when traveling throughout the USA. Calling gun violence in the United States a human rights crisis is a statement accompanying the travel advisory. Amnesty International alleged the US government of failing to fulfill its obligation under international law to keep people safe. Uruguay and Venezuela have also discouraged their citizens from traveling to the United States, citing this weekend's mass shootings as indicators of danger and a rise in hate crimes. The Japanese Consulate in Detroit has released a statement urging Japanese nationals to stay alert after the Dayton shooting. Meanwhile, Germany, Ireland, Italy, UK, Turkey, China, Canada and New Zealand have also issued similar warnings on travelling to the United States due to continuous gun violence related incidents taking place across the country in the recent past.
Now for a few court news in brief. The Colombo Special Trial at Bar High Court acquitted the released 3 suspects, including former President's Chief of Staff Gamini Senarath, today. The 3-member judge bench, comprised of Justices Sampath Abekon, Sampath Vijayaratne and Champa Janaki Rajaratne, declared the verdict. The suspects were accused of allegedly misappropriating funds worth 500 million rupees belonging to Litro Gas Company during the previous regime. The ruling issued by the judges cited that the charges made against the suspects were baseless, therefore they will be acquitted and released. Indictments were filed by the Attorney General with the Colombo High Court against former parliamentarian Sajin Vas Gunawardena. He has been indicted on the charges of money laundering amounting over 3 billion rupees under the Money Laundering Act. According to the Attorney General's coordinating officer, the indictments were filed after carrying out an investigation based on a complaint received by the CID on February 2, 2015. The 12 suspects allegedly involved in the incident which caused damages to Buddha statues in Mavanella were re-remanded till 22nd August according to an order made by Mavanella District Magistrate Upul Rajakaruna.
The all-share price index closed at 5,878.26 points, dropped by 11.42 points, and the S&P SL20 index closed at 2,885.79 points, also dropped by 12.31 points at the end of trading in the Colombo Stock Exchange today. Turnover was 468 million rupees. Here is a summary of market details of the Colombo Stock Exchange today.
And on sports news, the three-day practice match between New Zealand team and Sri Lanka cricket chairman's team began today. The match is taking place at the Trade Zone grounds in Katunayaka. Winning the toss, Sri Lanka cricket chairman's team opted to bat first. Openers Danushka Gunatilaka and Sadira Samaravikrama provided a solid start for the innings with a 154 runs partnership. Danushka Gunatilaka lost his wicket when he was at 98 runs. Sadira Samaravikrama scored 80 runs. At the close of play, Sri Lanka cricket chairman's team was at 323 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. New Zealand bowler Ajaz Patel picked up 5 wickets. Tomorrow is the second day of the match. Meanwhile, Minister Harin Fernando made remarks regarding the removal of Sri Lanka head coach Chandika Hathurusinghe from his position during a media briefing today. Minister Harin Fernando said that the Sri Lanka cricket has issued a charge sheet to the head coach for not abiding to the contractual obligations. He added that the head coach has to respond to the issuance within 14 days. He said that if the head coach is unable to negotiate with them on this regard, then an issue may arise. He said that the head coach has not been dismissed yet. The minister said that the majority in the Sri Lanka cricket agreed with the taken mechanism on this regard.
That's it for the news this evening. Have a good night.
Good night.